Hi, welcome to So Darn Fun. Today I've got a really fun project. Here's a teaser. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Carrie and this is So Darn Fun, a channel about sewing alterations, pattern reviews, and other fun sewing how-tos. And this is what we've got today. I decided to do something a little bit fun. Is that cute or what? I have twin nieces and people can't tell them apart. So they revert to thing one and thing two. And so I came up with this idea that I'm really excited about. And let me show you what it consists of. I'm gonna take it apart here so you can see the pieces. We have a bodysuit with a logo. We have cutie leggings. Are those adorable? And then we've got this really fluffy tutu. What little girl wouldn't want to be wearing this fun thing? So let me give you the rundown. I'm going to tell you what I did. I'm going to put all my resources in the comments, and then I'm going to walk you through how I did that amazing tutu. First of all, let's talk about the bodysuit. On the bodysuit, you see I've got a little thing one logo. I digitized and I have an embroidery machine, and that's how I came up with that. I digitized a circle applique. So first what we did was we sewed the thing one in the center, then straight stitched around the edge. Then I took it out of the machine and I cut out the extra. Then the machine went around and did the satin around the edges. But one thing that I did do is I put a fusible on the underside. I used a satin, so I've got a non-stretchy on a stretchy, which probably isn't a good idea. But after I embroidered everything, then I pressed it to make sure that that fuse went through to the stretchy onesie, making it unstretchy underneath. So hopefully it will withstand washings, but time will tell. Something I want to point out here is that before I embroidered the applique on the front, I traced the shape of the front piece onto the piece of fabric that I was going to cut it out of, and then I marked the placement for my embroidery to try to get it centered on that piece. The reason for this was that if I happened to be off by just a little bit, then my logo would be off center, and I didn't want that. So this way I could embroider on the piece of fabric with just the shape of the pattern piece drawn in just for reference sake. And then when I was finished with the entire applique, I could lay the pattern piece back on top to make sure that it was centered. If it wasn't exactly centered how I wanted it, or if it was too high or too low, then I could reposition that pattern piece on top of my logo to make sure that it was exactly where I wanted it. I'm actually glad that I did it this way because one of my logos was off by about a ½ inch, and then I recentered my pattern piece on top of that logo. So keep this in mind. The pattern for the bodysuit is from a company called Peanut Patterns, and you can find them on Etsy. So go to Etsy and search for Peanut Patterns. And this particular bodysuit is called the Amberley bodysuit. It cost me $10 to download the pattern, printed it off on a few sheets of just regular printer paper, taped them together, and this really cute bodysuit. The only changes that I made, of course, because I can never sew anything exactly according to the pattern, is that they made it lined. I didn't want it lined. I just wanted a regular old run-of-the-mill type of bodysuit, so I did not cut 2 layers. The lining process finished the edge, so I knew I wanted a band on the edge, not it to be finished because there's a lining on the inside. So what I did is on my neck edge, I just trimmed it about 1/4 inch outside of the regular cut line from the pattern. I measured 3/8 of an inch within that seam allowance, got those measurements, and then I multiplied it by 85%, 0.85, to get the length of the band that I needed to put on there. I took the leg band pattern, because there's a leg band pattern, so that I could get the width, and I used that same width but the length of what I had figured out for the neckband, and that's what I put on there. I used both sleeves. It comes with a flutter sleeve and a long sleeve pattern, and I decided I wanted both because it's winter time and I liked the cute flutteriness of the flutter sleeve, so I just decided to put them all together. I think that's really cute. Everything else I did according to pattern. The leggings pattern is from a company called sweetredpoppy.com. So you can go to sweetredpoppy.com and find their leggings. They're a free pattern, so you can download it. And I've actually used this legging pattern for my granddaughters who are 8 years old, 10 years old. I used one for, I think it's 7-year-old. And now I did a size 3 for my 2-year-old nieces just to give them some growing room. And my other granddaughters have absolutely loved the way the leggings fit. Actually, they've made their own pairs of leggings from this very pattern, so I would highly recommend it. The fabric I used, the stripe, the red and white stripe, it's a 1-inch red and white stripe. The company is Riley Blake. I got it from an Etsy seller. The Etsy seller is called Cute Little Fabric Shop. So you can go to Etsy, go to Cute Little Fabric Shop and see if they have any Riley Blake of the 1-inch stretchy fabric. It worked wonderful, very pretty. Now the super fun part is this cute skirt. The waistband is made from this crocheted stretchy fabric. You can even use it like a headband, but people online are using it for the waist of these little tutus. And you can see right here that it is these pieces of tulle are tied onto this, and it seems like it's going to work really well. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did the process of putting that on there, because that's really the fun part. Since I've already done thing number 1 skirt, you get to go with me while I do thing number 2 skirt. My source for the tulle is an Amazon seller. I don't know which one. You can find lots of Amazon sellers. This is a 6-inch wide tulle, and it's going to take a couple, I think a couple for each one. Depending on what size you make, you're going to want to cut different lengths, but I'll get to that in just a second. But this is what it looks like. This is what it comes like. It's much easier to already buy it when it's already 6 inches wide rather than buying massive yardage from the fabric store and then having to cut strips, because you're probably going to need a lot, like 75 or more per color. So let's hit the table and see exactly how I put that together. This is what the elastic looks like that I bought. This is probably wider than a lot of people are using. I think this one is a 2-inch wide, 2.5-inch wide, giving lots of holes depending on how full you want it. I didn't really want to use all the holes. So what I ended up doing was I only used the holes that were starting at the bottom. So if I can hold this correctly, in this row going up here, I might have done red. Can't hold it. I skipped this row here, the off row, and then this row starting at the bottom, I did blue, but I only used 3 rows and I left some opening at the top. How long do you cut this? There is a kind of a rule of thumb that cut it 2 to 3 inches smaller than the waist of the person you are making it for. So I have a 16-inch band already sewn together. I cut it 16 inches long. I sewed it with a straight stitch machine about 1/4 inch, and that should do. So let me demonstrate to you first how we're going to get all of our strips, because this is a time-consuming part here. This can be easier than you think. We have a template. I made a cardboard template, 18 inches long. We're folding these strips in half, so we need to make this double how much we want it to stick out from the tutu. So if I want each fluff from the tutu to stick out 9 inches, then I need to make my template 18 inches. I taped 2 pieces of cardboard together because apparently this cardboard uses less paper or whatever, so they're thinner. So I taped them together so that they wouldn't bend under the stress. So in figuring out how much I need, I have to count all these base holes right here, all these bottom ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all of those are the ones that I'm going to be using all the way around from seam to seam, and I ended up with 44. But I'm doing it 3 rows high, so I need to multiply 44 times 3, so I get 132. But I'm using 2 colors. So that number, the 132, I divide into and I end up with 66. So each color I need 66 of. 66 red, 66 blue. So here's a roll I've already started So this is what I do. I just hold it right here on the end and just start wrapping around. 1 on the back, 2 on the front, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And when you're done, you can cut it even with the edge of that cardboard there, and then hold it carefully. And I found that the 2-layer of cardboard actually benefits me because I can stick my blade of my scissors between those two and then cut exactly on the top all the way across, and then hold it so it doesn't slip off, and then do that on the other end. Oops, I didn't hold it very well. Do what I say, not what I do. Let's see if we can get it there. Okay, whoops. This is for demonstration purposes only, so it might not be perfect. All right, there we go. Ooh. You can do it. There we go. So now I've got a nice little pile of red. Now, how do we put it on? Let's see. Let's grab one piece. Set those to the side. I'm going to grab this one piece. I'm going to scrunch it up. I'm going to put the 2 ends together and find the middle point on the fold right here. I find using a crochet hook for me is easier than trying to put it through with my fingers like I've seen people do online. And also, putting this on a paper towel roll or putting it honestly around your legs when you're sitting down is easy to hold it nice and taut so you can see what you're doing. But I'm going to try to hold it here in air and show you. So here's that bottom hole. I'm putting my crochet hook up, going upwards underneath that blob. I'll just call it a blob, a crochet blob. I'm going to grab it and pull it under. You can do this with your fingers. It doesn't have to be a crochet hook. Get a nice big loop there and then just kind of pull it through. Nice big knot. Now you don't want to just yank on this and pull it tightly. If you pull it too tight, you're going to start scrunching this whole elastic, and it's going to start, I don't know, kind of shrinking from top to bottom because you're going to compress all those blobs. You don't want to compress them. I find that if I pull this up from the back, then I can pull that down and make a nice little knot right there. And then let's grab the second one. Again, I just scrunch it. Twisting it a little bit helps too, just to kind of keep it nice and so you know where to grab it from. Now, I'm going to go in that hole that I just came up, and so I can grab that next blob. Pull it through. My ends have become uneven, so when I see them at this point that they're uneven, before I pull it through, I can kind of straighten them out. There we go. Pull it through. Okay, an easy way to kind of get that knot, I sometimes put my crochet hook in vertically. Whoops, it's hard when I don't have this. Let's see if I can set it on the table here. Hold it and then use it as leverage to tighten the knot so that I'm not putting stress on the band itself. There's my second one. And then I'll just get my hook ready before I get my tool ready. So remember, I'm going in that same hole and then underneath that blob. Okay, now let me get my tool piece. Now the next row will be blue. And as I was trying to explain, see, we see holes right here, right there. We're not going to use those though. It makes it too dense, I think. And it stretches out the elastic, and we want to keep as much elasticity as possible. So we're just going to go to the next bottom hole, right there. There's that blob. Let's get the blue. Put this one on. you get the idea. It takes a while to do this. This is a really good, put on the old Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth. And watch all those episodes while you sip some tea and make a tutu. Why not? I didn't time myself how long it took to get that other one done. A couple evenings in front of the TV. I don't sit too long in front of the TV, but it took some doing and some taking out because I found out what I was doing was too dense. So if I really concentrated on it, I don't know how long it would take, in all honesty. I don't know, a couple hours, a few hours maybe. A bit of time. Okay, see? Now we've got one more to do here. Now I do have this leftover, you know, white at the top. If you decide you can go another row up, I've decided I didn't want to spend the time doing that. I didn't realize I was ordering as wide of elastic as I was, but I didn't have time to order a different one. So this is wider than you need, but it works. It works. Maybe it's better to have more elastic in there, even if you have some little white pieces sticking up above or below, just to make sure that your tooling doesn't make it so dense that you've actually taken all the elasticity out of the elastic, because you definitely want it to continue to stretch so that it will stay on the little body. All right, so that is how you do it. And my next row, of course, will be red. And you work all the way around until you have that nice full tutu. Another tip is when you get a couple rows done, you can take a rubber band or a string to wrap around the ends to keep them from getting all over, because they're gonna start wanting to go up like this and just get twisted all over the place. So it kind of keeps them tame. And then when you're done, you can take those off and fluff them up. That's how you do it. I will be back when this is done so that you can see both of those cutie-petutie thing 1 and thing 2 outfits side by side. Now that I have both of these outfits done, I get to show them to you. Well, here's the first one that I've already showed you, my thing 1. But on thing 2, I've left my skirt tied up so that you can see how I bundled them as I moved along. I just have some little hair elastics, and I will of course pull those off. But that's what I was talking about when I was talking about trying to keep them contained so they don't get all twisted. So then you can keep it nice and neat, and then when you're ready, just pull off these elastics and let it fluff up. I won't take them all off right now one-handed, but just fluff it up. So now we have thing 1, thing 2. Can we get a good view of these? There we go. If I have left something out that you want to know, leave a question in the comments. I read all my comments and I will get back to you. Please ask. I'm more than happy to help you. So I hope that you learned something new today and that you have a new cute little fun outfit that you can make for somebody. Have fun doing it. Thanks for joining me today. I will see you next time.